未换了300磅，这么贵，你就傻瓜，你都没有耐心等别人，我自己电脑都可以装，你都装不了。什么好快？两个星期的工，一个是半个星期的工资，又不是你赚。又在打游戏，又在开车。没有，他叫我开车。啊，他不都转不了啊？
你转弯不好的。
转不了，没有转弯在现实生活讲得了，这游戏太难转了。
Do in various racing sims. Another huge mistake you basically see in every racing game, or in F1 when Verstappen is going for a dive again, are players braking far too late for a corner. Yes, braking late will be faster into the corner, but it will most likely ruin your exit, leading to you crashing into an opponent or to your car becoming folded into a barrier. And this is where the famous sim racing saying comes into place: slow in, fast out. Which is of course a bit dramatic in its formulation, but in its core, it's the most essential racing tip you can get for bettering your corners and braking. But let's start from the beginning. When you are learning a new track and you have no clue where to brake, start to look at the side of the track to spot some markers that you can easily recognize while driving at a fast pace. This could be a tree, the start of the curbing, a line on the track, or the meter boards that solely are there for exactly this purpose. Just don't take any shadows, trust me. Then start at roughly 200 meters, for example, and see how long it takes for your car to slow down before you have to turn in. Or if you're already way too fast and overshooting the corner. Usually you adjust your braking point from there until you are as close to the turn as possible without having to break a sweat when turning in. Keep in mind that your car should flow through the turn and that if you have a lot of movement in your steering that you have to correct, you are most likely already a few meters too late on brakes. Practice makes perfect here, and when you feel comfortable with your braking and driving overall on track, maybe search for tutorials on trail braking next, as this will further lower your braking distance in the future. But that's more of an intermediate technique and too advanced for today. But if you would like to see a video from us about that topic, let us know in the comments down below. The third mistake I see often with newer drivers that start with sim racing is that they reject any kind of help from apps or programs whatsoever because they want it to be as realistic as possible. But that's a big mistake, especially when you are playing on a 16:9 monitor and are lacking the overview that you would have in a real car. Of course, upgrading to an ultra-wide monitor, VR goggles or triple screens can help you with that, but many of us don't have the money. Which is why you should get all the help you can get from nifty programs. And there are many good ones out there. You should definitely consider getting a car radar. It shows you the cars around you, which will help medically to stay safe in side-by-side situations on track and to keep you cool under pressure. And there's even a program that can help you with your overview while also making you feel like you are still playing by the rules of the real world. This program is called Crew Chief, a free tool that will act as an engineer and spotter by radio. It can call you by your name, tell you when other cars are alongside you, and also will respond to voice commands if you ask it something. For example, you're driving in an online race, you have all the HUD elements turned off for the complete immersion, and want to know what your position on track is, you can just ask, "What's my position?"
P15.
What an awesome tool. Everybody should use it. A link can be found, of course, in the video description. Mistake number 4 is a big one and treated with a technique that real racing drivers have to learn as well to adjust to the speed and to the low reaction times. Because for many beginners in sim racing, their vision while driving is incorrect. Usually when driving a car in real life, for example when driving through a city, the vision of the driver sits right in front of the car. You observe everything that's happening right in front of you, like traffic signs, construction sites, road markings, or people crossing the street. Because your speed is lower, when you spot something you have to react to. Like when approaching a corner, you have more than enough time to react to it. In a racing scenario, this is different. Your speeds are way higher, and the time you have to react accordingly is much lower, which is why we have to adjust our vision to spot the next important point where your car should steer to. So when you're approaching a corner, your eyes should already focus on the apex coming up, so you can react in just the right time to start turning your wheel towards it. And I know, what about the braking point? How can I spot the braking point and have my eyes on the apex at the same time? Easy, you have to use your peripheral vision. Spot your brake marker with the corner of your eye, focus on the apex, and as soon as you arrive there, your eyes should already be focused on the exit ahead so you can take the ideal line out of the turn. This takes a while to practice and to get used to, but will better your lap times massively as well as your consistency. The best example I can give you are Eau Rouge and Radillon at Spa-Francorchamps, which are so much easier to master with this technique. Because the speed here is so high and the time to hit the perfect moment to start steering is so slim that every millisecond counts. So by having your eyes already on the inside while driving down into Eau Rouge makes it way easier to get out on the other side in one piece and to avoid cutting the track while doing so. Our last tip has to do with your attitude. What's your motivation to go racing? Only to win? Then get ready for a bumpy ride. Because compared to other esports titles out there, everybody on track is on their own. And you are the only player in your team. Winning is always a 1 versus 20, 25 or even more situation. So if your only goal is to win every race, you will most likely get disappointed and lose interest in the hobby super quickly. My tip is to be your own rival and to find joy in the racecraft. Because every race is also a competition against your past best. Try to maximize your pace when you're driving without anyone around, alone in a race in P10 for example. Use the delta display to shave off 10.
Why does he keep beating me, man? I lose 7 times. Damn.
Boys, drag race in Asseto, right here, right now on this track over here. John is already in the server. John, did you...
Hi, so quick guide on how to win the Showdown Drag Race in Assetto Corsa. For some reason, this has been the most difficult one for me. This is the setup I use though, and it works pretty consistently. So for gears, you want to drop every gear down to the lowest gear ratio except for second and sixth. Second's going to be 1640, sixth will be 3233. Final gear ratio should be 1250. For tires, you want the softest compound, slick super soft. Fronts are 17 psi, rears are 18 psi. For fuel, you can turn off fuel consumption in the difficulty settings. So if you do that, you only need 1 liter of fuel. You might actually only need that anyways, even if you don't change that difficulty setting. You get achievements either way. Traction control off, of course, for drag racing. Front spoiler and rear wing, 0 degrees. We don't need downforce for drag racing. Front camber, the highest it goes is negative 1.2 degrees. That's the best we can do. Toe in the front and rear should be 0, and rear camber should be 0. Dampers, drive change, generic, suspension, all that. I don't change any of that. Haven't needed to. I can still consistently with this setup. So, drag racing in Assetto Corsa, for some reason, the actual time that the green light displays visually seems to be delayed from when the drag race actually starts. The most reliable way to determine when you should drop the clutch or go into gear or hit the throttle at the start is when about, I want to say like a quarter second after you hear the other car's engine rev, you can turn down your own engine volume to help hear the other car, because that should be your cue for when you want to start. So let's do this now and show you how it looks like. I usually keep it revved around 7 or 8. And we're just ignore the lights, just wait until you hear the other car rev, and then like quarter second later, drop it. Now. Yeah, and you'll see Asseto corsa said I was 0.6 seconds off that start. Maybe I really was. It doesn't feel like that, though. It feels like you need to go off the car's audio instead of the green light. And then with this gear ratio, just as we go past the finish line, we're at the peak of our power output. There we go. And then you can crash into them at the end. In real drag racing, you always crash into the other person at the end. That's just good etiquette. Yeah, I hope that helps.
First technique that I'm going to show you guys is clutch kicking. So I'm gonna shift first, get some speed, go second. Now, what you have to know. First, we always will aim towards the outside of the corner so we can get more space when we initiate. Then we keep about mid RPMs. You want to leave RPMs because when we push the clutch, it's more of a push rather than kick, guys. When we do the clutch kick, basically push the clutch, while we hold the gas, we want to be mid RPMs because we want to force the rear wheels to spin very fast. Therefore, we're going to lose traction on the rear. And that's what is going to cause exactly this. Keep gas, turn the wheel, push the clutch or clutch kick. You see? Exactly. This is what happens. We're breaking loose in the rear and we're entering drift. Keep in speed, push the clutch, and then you can modulate your throttle, get past the corner, and voila. Drift. Keep in speed, push the clutch, and then you can modulate your throttle, get past the corner, and voila.
Hi, so quick guide on
你刚才下来没有跟爸爸说多少钱呢？
有啊，
那他为什么会那样子？
什么为什么这样子？
他没听到人，他
什么没？你花太多钱了，你是傻瓜。
他今天为什么这么早去？
怎么这么早去？谁想待在家里？
这个滑的。
太慢了，还比这个能更慢。
Don't know how to win the showdown 2-3.
他是赢了决击，他说1个小时进来，随便知道是赢了决击。
他没讲啊，但是你自己傻啊。
他没讲，你刚才不是也听？他没讲。
对，他没讲啊，但是你自己傻。我叫你不要打。
就是说他上次厕所坏了，他自己修不了，然后也叫人修，他都猜得到处都。
很容易修啊，网络上那么多视频，你就没有耐心的。
你修得了的。
我电脑自己都修。
就是说换一个马桶。
你看30分钟啊，那种。
就是说全部换掉才200-300。他说你下次坏掉全部换掉，不要再修了哈。
就是傻，没有耐心的人，你自己。
我去奥迪那个人很坏，哇，眼睛大大的，真大大的。
什么很坏？我也叫你不要打。
他真的很坏。
什么很坏？你更笨。
你有没有跟他说200多？
For tires, you know, the softest
我才不会付，
你有没有跟他说
我最多付多少？20磅。你会花300磅，你这个人。
他没说 emergency， 他刚才哪里？
他没说，但是我叫你不要打，你就是傻瓜。
人家有
而且你都不会去砍价。
我有跟他说，
哪里？你说 cheaper， 然后就说 OK， 你根本都没砍。所以人家说笨。
Balance looks super soft. Front are 17 psi, rears are 18 psi. Fuel, you can turn off fuel consumption and difficulty settings. So if you do that, you only need 1 liter of fuel. Like actually only need that anyways. Like actually only need that anyways. Inside the first siren. You get achievements either way. Traction pull off, of course, for drag racing. Front spoiler and rear wing, 0 degrees. We don't need downforge for drag racing. Front camber, the highest it goes is negative 1.2 degrees. That's the best we can do. Toe, in the front and rear should be 0, and the rear camber should be 0. Camper, drive chain, generic, suspension, all that.
为什么又看不见了？昨天就看不见了。啊，是不是被你捏上去了才看不见？
再打一针，能不能再打一针？
哦，是被你，这是昨天可以看得见。
啊，这就不明显了。
被你捏上去了才那样子。
打一针，我再。
是傻瓜，所以人家说你傻。你自己他跟你说价钱，你都可以拒绝，你
他说290。
你
不是都可以拒绝？
不要这么贵，我不做了啦。
你这是都可以拒绝，然后他就说 OK。
不会做，你不会再叫另外一个来。
上次 A 人不是也200多？
哎，你啊。